This is the Alfa Romeo Tonale plug-in hybrid, and behind me, this is the official Alfa Romeo test track in Balocco in Italy, and we're about to drive this on both the track and the road. However, before we get to that, a couple of points to make. This is a plug-in hybrid, so this is the first step in the move that Alfa Romeo is making to full electric, which will happen at the end of 2026. So on that basis alone, this is a very important vehicle for the brand globally, but it's also a small SUV. We know how much Australians want them, and we know that Australians want them in huge numbers, so it's even more important for that reason as well. But I think most important for us right now is how attractive it looks. I think the styling's fantastic. Let's take a closer look at the all-new Alfa Romeo Tonale. Something that will be a factor for the Tonale in Australia is the final price, and arguably no plug-in hybrid is cheap from any manufacturer, but the Tonale is likely to cost a fair bit when it does launch. We know the mild hybrid Tonale will start from just under $50,000 before on-road costs when it launches in Australia, with a higher model grade sitting in the mid $50,000 region. The price premium to the plug-in hybrid model in Europe indicates a jump of 12 to 15,000 Aussie dollars will be likely, pushing the asking price up significantly. We'll report back with full pricing and specification for the Tonale plug-in hybrid when it's available locally. I think if Alfa Romeo wants to step this up a notch and bring the Tonale into a more premium sphere, and the brand has told us that that's what they want to do, that's really important in this new generation as they move to full electric. They want to get to that premium level again and that perception of premium. I think one of the most important areas that you can bring that level up is inside the cabin. This cabin in this vehicle is a huge step forward for the brand compared to other vehicles that are on the market, other Alfa Romeo models that we're familiar with, like Stelvio and like Giulia. This is a really, really high-end cabin. The fit, finish, quality of materials, the execution and the design are excellent. The screens, the integration of the tech, things like the charging pad, the switch gear, and the way it feels as the driver when you're behind the wheel, it all feels really premium. It's really well laid out. We're going to head out on the road drive now and experience it out on public roads. We're going to look at things like the ride quality, bump absorption, and then of course the way that the drivetrain works. But with up to 80 kilometers of electric range before you get to the internal combustion engine, this starts to make a lot of sense for city buyers who are looking at a plug-in hybrid. Let's hit the road now and find out a little bit more about how the Tonale drives. Crucial to the Alfa Romeo experience is the way it feels behind the wheel. And that's a tough thing to define in some ways, and it's an even tougher thing to deliver at a time when we're moving toward somewhat generic electric drivetrains. Engineers argue that they'll be able to get around this, but I'm still not quite convinced. Still, the Alfa Romeo Tonale isn't electric yet, meaning there's a perky petrol engine that's working under the bonnet in concert with all that electric hardware. Tonale gets a 1.3-litre turbocharged petrol 4-cylinder engine, which makes 132 kilowatts and 270 newton meters, mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. At the rear, there's a 90 kilowatt electric motor, which rounds out the Q4 all-wheel drive part of the equation, and there's also a 33 kilowatt electric motor up front that never directly drives the wheels. Its job is to assist the turbo at low engine RPM to seamlessly eliminate lag or power deficits in the early acceleration phase, and also allow the petrol engine to run power back into the battery pack. There's obviously some complexity there, as you'd expect of a modern hybrid, but on our launch drive, it all worked smoothly and effortlessly. We were impressed with the way the Tonale drove both on track and on the road, and if you move the dial into dynamic mode, it does change the way the whole vehicle feels. It holds lower gears closer to redline, and it ensures the electric motor is ready to go when needed. As expected, the throttle response is also sharpened up, the dampers are switched into their firmest setting, and the torque vectoring system is also activated. What that means is you do get a dynamic small SUV, funnily enough, when you put it in dynamic mode. If you leave it in the auto mode, it actually rides pretty well. It can be firm over poor road surfaces, and we did notice that over some of Italy's cobbled streets in the smaller towns. But all in all, given the space and flexibility on offer, the ride quality and the way it feels from behind the wheel is likely to make it a popular small SUV among Australian family buyers who crucially have the budget to spend on something like the Alfa Romeo Tonale. I think most surprisingly for me with the Alfa Romeo Tonale is not so much that it's beautiful to look at, not so much that it seems to really take into account this new drive that Alfa Romeo has to be a high quality premium brand and get back to that level globally, but how impressively it drove on track. It was good out on the road, and we kind of expected that when we did some hot laps on the track though. The front end grip and the all-round sense of balance that it had out there on the track was really quite impressive. It goes without saying that we're looking forward to driving the Tonale on Australian roads when we get the vehicle locally. And don't forget to let us know what you think about this new Alfa Romeo and the fact that it's a really, really popular segment that it's coming into in small SUV. Let us know what you think of the styling as well. As always, don't forget to hit like if you've enjoyed the video. Click on subscribe so you stay up to date with all of our latest video content. The full review of the Alfa Romeo Tonale plug-in hybrid, that's over at Drive.com.au.